right. This is the part of the meeting where we actually have an opportunity to really hear some great feedback based on the speakers, and then after the evaluators give, or the evaluator gives her evaluation, I'll come up and give my feedback on the meeting. So let's go ahead, let's start off with hearing from distinguished Toastmaster Barbara Amata. A timer's report.
Barbara had 3 minutes 46 seconds. She didn't qualify. That's it. You're safe.
Tonight is the night of qualified people. This is still an opportunity though where you can provide feedback to Barbara. So if you have the ballot, go ahead and use that time to provide feedback as well. We're going to go ahead and jump into the functionary roles so we can get a report from them. I am going to start off with the grammar. Have an op counter report from Toastmaster Cohen. That is it. Okay, so go ahead at this time if you have not voted for best evaluator, you can go, well, actually we have one, so there we go. But if you have a most improved, yeah, you can do that for, especially for table topics. So take a second and think of most improved. Most improved is not just for the formal speaking time, it can also be for table topics. It can also be for when you're watching evaluators, especially if someone is coming up for the first time doing that evaluation report, so that's an opportunity. This is the part of the meeting where I get to give feedback to the evaluators and to the overall meeting. And I will tell you, I am always awash with making sure that we are just always filling people's cups. And that's really what we get here. That presentation that Marcia gave, this is something that people pay money for her to do for their companies, for their businesses, for their students. And we have an opportunity to get free education here. Now, I know I don't have to sell it to you all because you're here, but what I'm trying to say is I work at the University of Central Florida. People pay a lot of money to take a public speaking course. They pay a lot of money to be able to refine these different things that you get here in Toastmasters. So I just want to thank Marcia for gifting us with that presentation because it was well done. I always find it so interesting when the inspiration matches the theme of the day. I don't know, are the stars aligned? It didn't feel like that today for me that the stars were aligned, but maybe it was discombobulated so they could align for the meeting. But it's always really great to have that happen because it just is a double whammy, right? To remind us of those things. Some of the things I just really want to kind of pick out from what distinguished Toastmaster Sabrina Millay shared was those things of knowing the room, knowing the material, relaxing, and visualizing yourself when you're getting ready to go up there, right? Visualizing yourself being successful. Something too also that I wanted to jump in and just highlight from what you had said earlier too was coming up here and just the whole time highlighting your flaws. And I just need to share a little example. My fiance is about to do his first big hour-long presentation. And he was like, okay, I want to practice my intro. And he's nervous because I'm in Toastmasters. And I said, just come to Toastmasters, right? So he gives his intro, and his whole intro, I told him I was going to share this. The whole intro was, thank you so much for being here. This is good. This is my first time. It's going to be a little disjointed. And then he gets on with his presentation. And he was like, what did you think? And I was like, well, you said you wanted to be with me forever, so here you go. And I told him that's so uncomfortable, right? When you go up and you're like, I'm really nervous, I don't know what to do. And he wasn't prancing around like that. I was not doing that. He was presenting on being a private investigator, so he was definitely not doing that. But, you know, I saw him physically just curl up in a ball, and that's what a lot of people do. And I know even sometimes I'm like, oh, there I go saying this again. But we can make jokes of ourselves, and that's okay. We can tie that in. But I think that's so awesome that you reminded us, because it's important to just go up and own it, right?
Yes.
Just go up and own it. So instead, he's starting off with a short story.
Yes.
And that's how he's gonna jump in and capture. And he even said, he's like, you know, it's so much easier when I start talking about a story that I actually know.
No. Absolutely.
Right? So instead of focusing in on what makes us nervous, we're gonna feel weird if we do that. And that audience is gonna feel weird. So anyways, I'm not gonna give a whole speech on that. I just thought that was very, very important to highlight. I know that it started off a little, looked at the time, I'm like, 1 minute. Jared and I were like on a line because he came running in and I was hitting the gavel. So that was because we were working on technology. We're missing our Sergeant of Arms today, so we kind of were running at the last minute. I do think that it's always important to have a backup plan. So when you are going to be giving a speech and you're using technology, what I usually do is, and I love how you had kind of those backup cords, have backup cords, because listen, I have a Mac, this new thing, and you need to buy all new cords. This is how they make money. They're like, here's a new computer, you need 50,000 new cords for
And
all
extra
new
batteries for your clicker.
You need extra, make sure things are charged. You know, if you don't have an extra laptop, text someone in our club to say, hey, I have a presentation, if mine doesn't work, can I use it on yours? Email it to yourself. Upload it to Google. That sounds crazy, but I've literally been in situations where I've had to present and I've had to use my plan F, okay? And that was where I went through all my other A, B, C, D, E, and I had to go to plan F, which was pulling it off of Dropbox or something like that, right? Because everything else didn't work. And if you have those plans, you're not gonna be frazzled. And you're not going up saying, I'm so sorry, my technology, right? Like you already have those plans. So that was really good that we had those backups. And I always try to bring my laptop, so if you forget to ask and I'm here, I have no problem with that, so. As far as the evaluation, Distinguished Toastmaster Barbara Amato, I always appreciate your evaluations. When you come up here, it's a speech. An evaluation is a speech. And just because somebody is more experienced does not mean you can't evaluate them, right? So a lot of us who are new to this club, new to Toastmasters, don't be afraid to sign up for an evaluation role because someone is a distinguished Toastmaster or someone that speaks for a living. Everybody has an opportunity for growth, and if you don't know what to say, highlight what you learned, right? So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind as well. All right, so I mean that's all that I have for today. The table topics, I always want to highlight that. Wendy, you always just do such a fantastic job with table topics, and it really little themes just to make us think. And listen, you don't have to, if you see that it's still available when you walk in, you could Google a list of things and throw them out there, okay? There is ChatGPT now, you can type in table topics, and it will generate. We don't have any excuses anymore, right? So jump in and try to find some table topics that you can kind of be creative with. You don't always have to bring in a bag of tricks, like sometimes we do that too, but I really appreciate the way that you think through and especially bring the theme of the season. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we are gonna jump to the vote capture, which actually I was supposed to do before. No, because I'm president. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna be the president, and